Hi, welcome back to La Belle. So, I'm going to take a little bit of a deeper dive today into Sarah Boone's latest letter that she has written this month in April. And most significantly, she's written it after the last pretrial conference on March 31st, where we saw Sarah Boone in person in court. We also saw her attorney, Mr. Bankowitz. This letter is concerning to me because, as I'll go through shortly and share with you, it suggests to me that he's not met with her in person, although it does appear some work has gone on. But I'm concerned again with respect to potential delays. So I'm going to go ahead right now and share my screen, and we're going to go through a little bit of a deeper dive on this latest letter. Here we go. Okay, so first, initially, I'm not going to go through the main letter. I already read through that yesterday on my channel, but my takeaway here first, she's giving the court some lessons here on scanning. But what I'll go through today, though, is the missing pages from her late March letter that she wrote. Remember, I'd mentioned in that last video, I thought that there were some pages missing. It turns out there were. So we'll go over those missing pages today. But in any event, it's clearly from the content of the letter here, she's clearly still having issues with seeing Mr. Bankowitz. As I mentioned, it's concerning to me that she's not met with him apparently in person yet. Definitely not since the March 31st hearing. Though she talks a lot about these not working phone numbers, and I'm really not sure what's going on there. And I hope that that does get fixed. That's true. But I also thought it was interesting here, if you take, kind of the other side of the story, right? She does admit and suggest here that they are in some type of communications, because she says here, he asks me for information, presumably that she's talking about Mr. Bankowitz. So I think there's some communication going on there. It might just not be the communication perhaps that Sarah wants on her schedule. I don't know, just playing devil's advocate. There definitely seems to be a lack of communication going on between lawyer and client. And of course, that's concerning regardless of who's the cause. But it's interesting here because she does drop in that he has asked her for information, some critical and time sensitive, which I complete expeditiously for him, but then have no way to relay successfully, in turn hindering progress and creating even more to discuss in a 15-minute video visit when he does actually schedule. So, on the side of the defense attorney, her attorney, it's definitely seems that he has asked her for information. So they're clearly communicating in some manner. Um, and is she just trying to kind of like, kind of not, like hide a little bit of the fact that maybe some of the hindrance of the case is due to her own actions or inactions? I don't know. I think it suggests both ways, but clearly there's communication issues going on between them. And I hope this gets solved very soon, because I think at the very least, what that means is it's getting, less likely we're going to see an actual trial in July. And that is not what anyone wants to hear. So that was, kind of my takeaway from there. She talks a lot about how long he's been her attorney, how she's still waiting forever, etc. I thought, though, the last takeaway I have from her latest letter, is she's getting a bit of a personality here. She's getting some humor. She talks again about the YouTubers and people that are watching her case around the world, and she's now wondering what platform of popularity she'll be featured on next, and how much wasted time, effort, and thought will be put into mutating and grossly exaggerating my case information, racketeered to the World Wide Web. Shaking my head, run with it. I wonder, too, if I have a panel of letter readers. Guess that means us guys, dedicated to all the ones I've written. Enjoy, there's more to come. Oh, I know, we know, Sarah. I did put in a request for at the governor's office for them, if they have received a letter from Sarah Boone, because remember, in one of her letters in January, she mentions that she was in the process of writing to Governor DeSantis. So I have put in that public records request. Shout out to my supporters. Okay, So, never a dull moment with Sarah Boone letter. Finally, real quickly today, I wanted to go over really quickly what was missing from her prior correspondence. So, this was the letter that she wrote on March 22nd. It wound up appearing on the docket, I think, right before her hearing, which was on March 31st. So, I remember when I saw the letter, I was like, oh my gosh, this hearing is going to be so interesting given what she's saying here in the letter. But in any event, just to recap, we did have page one, and page one is talking a lot about her attempts to contact Mr. Bankowitz, even having the so-called unnamed female friend who I was curious about trying to reach out on her behalf. So in any event, that's kind of where it ended. So here, page two is what we didn't have from before. And it really doesn't give us much more information here other than it does look like there has been, again, some correspondence between the two because she does talk about here about them, scheduling, Mr. Bankwitz scheduling calls and being disconnected. So that does suggest at least that prior to that March 31st hearing, there had been some attempts to meet with her, but it does seem that there is some issues there. Um, so I think again, the court is going to have to figure this out if there is truly this much communication issues going on. I mean, clearly she does have the right to communicate in a reasonable way with her attorney. Again, we just don't know what the other side of the story is. Um, she talks about here, remember to please, I'm just starting back at the starting line, barely with you as my attorney. I'm generally concerned with the numerous promises you have made and even suggested yourself that will or can be done, but they do not done yet. I need your help and you have graciously offered to, but when, please. Hmm. Then we go to where we had this. This was the page we did have. And again, just to recap, this was when she was again continuing to talk about her frustration about not being able to talk to her lawyer. This is when she also shouts out the professional YouTubers as well as court TV and her misunderstanding on how, freedom of information and how all the laws work in Florida and federally as far as privacy, et cetera. These are all open records. So, and then here's the last page. We did not have this page last time. Doesn't really say much here, just basically says, but this again suggests there has been some work done because she says here, everything you have given me to complete has been done on top of everything else I'm dealing with, keeping at bay and really trying to figure out by myself since you are unable to, even just by answering the phone once. So it does sound like there has been at least some communication and some between her attorney and her as far as requesting information. So, but again, I mean, it is frustrating, I think, on all sides. We all want this case to move forward. And I know 3 years later. So hopefully this will be addressed. And hopefully it has been addressed. Again, as I mentioned, she wrote her last letter on 4/6. Then it looks like the court got it on 4/14. It didn't come up on the docket till this week. I noticed it yesterday. It could have come up Tuesday. I remember I generally look at the docket once a day, but they're not the fastest on getting this stuff up. So, I mean, obviously she wrote it on April 6th. It looks like the court got it then. So in any event, I'll keep watching. I think the takeaway is that, again, still frustration with whether or not what has been done on her case so far. um that being said, I think to take both sides, and of course we don't know the side of Mr. Bankowitz. We don't know, we just know what we can read from Sarah's letters, and of course that's Sarah's side of her story. So we don't know if I mean, it clearly seems that there has been work going on. So we don't know if it's a situation where Mr. Bankowitz needs to, improve some communication methods with Sarah so that she can more easily get in touch with him, or whether it's kind of a blowing out of proportion and maybe just being some difficulty on the behalf of Sarah. I don't know. Could be both. Anyway, thank you again. I'll keep watching the docket. And thanks again for stopping by, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye.